Next, we're going to get to Thane Rosenbaum, also a constitutional attorney, joining us now. Thane, great to have you with us.
Thank you, John.
So give us your initial impression now that you've had a few moments to take a look at this 38-page document.
Well, John, I thought what was interesting is that they needed a letter that precedes the actual disclosure to explain the amount of redaction. And that I've never really seen before. And that's interesting. And the reason for it is it's saying, we understand that we're showing you nothing. We're showing you a lot of pages that are blacked out. But we want you to believe that it's the very extent of these redactions, that it's all under seal, is almost evidence of the severity of the crime. That's just not what we do in America. It's just not this country, right? The suggestion seems to me, because to me, this was supposed to be the big reveal, right? Unsealing, right? This was what we were waiting for. The judge had the right to say, you know what, let's keep it sealed. Or the judge, the magistrate yesterday had the right to say, you know what, it's too redacted. Let me take a stab at it. He didn't do that. He said what the government presented is fine with me, and let's give a public disclosure of the redacted affidavit tomorrow at noon. And then at noon, they send a letter with it saying, I know it doesn't say anything. I know it doesn't give you a description of the crimes. It doesn't give you a description of the actual documents. It doesn't really describe the intent of the president and what they were fearing. It doesn't really give you a sense of the degree of probable cause. I mean, for God's sakes, John, this shouldn't have been probable cause. This should have been definite cause, you know, absolutely no question cause. This is like going after finding the Lindbergh baby. If you're going into the private residence of a former president, you have to go before a federal judge and say to him, the clock is ticking. There is an enormous urgency. What is in that house is of extraordinary national security significance, and we have evidence to believe that if we don't go in now, it'll either be destroyed or the Iranians will read it tomorrow. That's what I think was required for the search warrant. And they're still not saying that. They're intimating, remember, first they talked about the Presidential Records Act. The problem with that, John, is it's not a criminal act. It doesn't contemplate violating the Presidential Records Act is not a crime. So then they said, oh, well, it's got other federal codes, like, for instance, the Espionage Act. All right, now, John, now you're talking. The espionage is the Rosenbergs, Jonathan Pollard. Now they're saying that the President of the United States violated the Espionage Act. He's actually a foreign agent for an enemy country. I mean, is that what we're really talking about? Because honestly, the mere retention of the classified documents, to my mind, even if they're top secret, without the intent that the president was either going to destroy it or share it, I'm not sure you put the president in jail for that. Not in America. I don't think a federal court is going to do that.
And let's say that these documents were declassified as President Trump said, and he was going to destroy them. What is the issue with that?
Well, remember, the reason they backed off on when they went to the Espionage Act, right, when they talked about that, John, they did that because they know that that's not really about necessarily classified. Now you're talking about what's called special access documents or top secret documents, because classified documents by themselves wouldn't really necessarily violate the Espionage Act. So they've been ginning this up from the very day that they raided the president's home. And so then the question is, well, remember, they're also now telling us there's a lot of magazines, there's newspaper articles, there's personal effects. Oh, and there's some classified documents. Yeah, that's probably what's there. The president took some stuff off his desk. He took some magazines and other articles, and he might have also taken some classified. To me, John, the big issue is not whether he declassified them or not. The bigger question is, and let me quote President Obama here. President Obama once said, there's classified documents and there's classified documents, right? That's a good line. What he meant was there's classified that, yeah, but it's not really so important that anyone really needs to know, right? As opposed to something that really has national security implications. And to me, unless they had classified documents that had security access requirements associated with it that were marked top secret and that contained information that would be dangerous to the United States if destroyed or shared with a foreign entity. And guess what, John? There is still nothing that they've shown us or told us other than what you're showing your audience on the screen. What I think they're suggesting to you now is it's the amount of black lines itself indicates the crime. The fact
well,
that
that dog's not going to hunt, Thane.
you
that dog is not going to hunt for a lot of us. That is not what we were expecting here. And, last question for you real quick. Do you think more harm has been done by releasing this document so heavily redacted?
I don't know if more harm is done. Honestly, I just think the government looks more ridiculous. Harm to who, right? I mean,
harm to themselves. Harm to themselves and harm to their credibility.
Honestly, John, to me, almost a lot of what the Democrats have done, and I'm a registered Democrat, the Democrats, what they've done is just endless examples of how do we help President Trump return to the Oval Office?
Well, I think
how can we help him?
There's different kinds of Democrats.
How can we help them even more? Because it seems to me that that's what they're doing.
There are different types of Democrats. Joe Biden talks about different types of Republicans, but I know you read the Constitution, which makes you a certain kind of Democrat. Professor Dershowitz, also a Democrat. I know he loves the Constitution, and that's why you have concerns, specifically as it relates to the Fourth Amendment. And of course, this is the President of the United States, not just any citizen. Thane, great insight on this. I really appreciate your time. We'll check back in with you as well.
Thank you, John.
All right, we do have a statement from President Trump just released.